Gareth Bale, like that in that era.
Oh,
Remember what he did to Maicon?
Oh, he made Maicon look like
a poor man's Gary Neville.
Not even that.
A Gareth Southgate.
It made him look like a Diogo Dalot.
Oh, what's the finish?
And on that note,
It's a good. You like that?
perfect.
You like that?
I like that. Let's get to.
Are we doing keep or are we gonna? Where do you want to go?
Let's first go because the keep or sell. I think we both agree. For the most part,
All right. Let's.
I think the meat of this conversation, and the actual reason why we came up with this whole idea of doing a podcast in the first place,
It's because Carlo was wrong.
is because I was right. Because Josh is of the opinion, and we originally had this debate before we won the FA Cup. It's been rumbling for a while.
Oh, it's probably been a whole season thing. Actually.
Yeah,
It probably has.
Well, initially you were Ten Hag.
I know. I when we first got Ten Hag, I wanted Ten Hag. So it was a decision between Pochettino and Ten Hag.
That was the last video on this channel, by the way.
And
is why United should choose Ten Hag.
And you were right.
Yeah.
We should have chose Ten Hag, and I don't think Pochettino was a good fit. I've always said that.
Yeah. Agreed.
I think the way he handled Ronaldo, I think was spot on. I think we, like as you said with the Piers Morgan interview, I think he hit that nail on the head. I think no one's bigger than the club. Fuck off, kind
What
of
would
thing.
Fergie have done?
He'd done exactly the same. He'd probably thrown another boot at him. But yeah, I think he sorted that out really well. I think he got a lot of players like to stand in line, like knowing that this is how we train. This is
Trying
how
to reset the culture.
Reset the culture.
Yeah.
And I think finishing third in our first season, winning the cup, I think that's a great accomplishment.
Progress in terms of style of playing.
Progress is progress.
Bro, there was some games like last season. I know you typical United fan, not supporter. He is a supporter, but I'm just winding you up. But you forget the games last season. Like, no, I'm not talking about this recent season, his first season. Like, the Everton game, bro, we were playing football, man. We're knocking it about. Like, we were looking like a decent side.
Who were we playing?
That's beside the point. You can only beat who's in front of you.
That was before Dyke was there as well, right?
Yeah.
So, who were we playing?
Yeah, true. But I'm just saying there were some
Frank?
moments.
That would be Frank Lampard's Everton.
Yes.
The well-known managerial masterclass of Frank Lampard versus
the GOAT. Okay, anyway, you go. Keep going.
So you want me to hit first?
Well, the premise of this conversation is Josh was Ten Hag in, then he changed his mind, understandably. And yeah, you hit first. You make the argument for why Ten Hag should not be in the job at the moment.
Right.
Because it's already settled. He's going to be there for at least the beginning of next season.
Yeah, and he will be. And
that's been decided.
I think the FA Cup saved him, and I think
agree.
we both can agree on that.
Yeah, agreed. But what you go?
I think.
Why should he not be in the job?
Well, the first thing, and we've both openly agreed that the most important thing in life, most important thing in football is the eye test. The pattern of play is non-existent at the moment as a United fan. You can look at managers who have been there far less time.
Yeah, well, I know what you mean.
Yeah. For
a shorter period of time.
Shorter period of time.
De Zerbi.
Yeah, and they have so much more just a better pattern of play.
Yeah, you can see what they're trying to do. They have
more of a what's the word? More of a not an image, more of a
imprint on the team.
Imprint, yeah. So
you can see their imprint on the team.
So I have
man's come with stats. After saying that he doesn't really care about stats and it's all about eye test.
It's not about stats. This is just gonna blow your mind.
Let's get into it.
Just because I wanted to get my point across, right? United last season, if we were based on expected points, we would have finished in 1, 2, 3. We would have finished in 2019, 18, 17, 16. We'd have finished in 15th place.
But that's based on the shots we conceded.
No, that's based on expected points.
But what's that? What's expected points based on?
So expected points.
XG, right?
No, No, it's expected points, not XG.
But how do they calculate?
That'll be like
points?
that'll be adding all of that together. So like the expected goals conceded, like all of it added together, and then like should we have won that game, and then.
But there were so many games that we collected points from where we conceded like 20 plus shots.
Yeah, but there was also games that we shouldn't have won.
No, but that's my point. That's why we're so low in that ranking.
But this is then proves my point, because when I'm talking about pattern of play, so the teams above us. Tell me honestly, could you tell me how they're going to set up and play? So we'll go down from the top. Can you tell me how Man City are going to play?
Of course.
Right. Can you tell me how Arsenal are going to play?
Of course.
Liverpool?
Yeah.
Newcastle?
Yeah.
Right. Chelsea?
Well, now that Poch is gone, I guess we have to find out.
That,
Chelsea were as diabolical as we were.
That's the one that I would agree with.
Yeah.
Tottenham?
Yeah.
Right.
Shout out Ange, by the way.
And how long's Ange been there?
Nice to see.
How long's he been there?
A fellow Southern Hemisphere dude, Australian, random, doing well. Ange, again, one of those managers, made a big impact. But my argument to that, like, I'll let you finish, Taylor. I'm gonna let you land. But I just want to say, obviously, De Zerbi gets a lot of love. Ange gets a lot of love. It's different doing that at Tottenham or at Brighton. Where how long did Brighton go without a win? They had so many bad runs last season. If that's at United, it's a crisis. But at Brighton, you get away with it. So that's my one argument there. But I agree with what you're saying.
But what about Spurs then?
No, you're right. You're right. In terms of this, you are right. We had no style of play last season.
And then Villa. Would you tell me how they're going to play?
Okay, but would you take Emery? Good evening.
I wouldn't take him.
Oh, well, there you go then.
But there is a pattern of play. My point in this one is just pattern of play.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that.
So pattern of play, do Villa have one? Yes.
Yeah, they do.
Do Brighton have one?
They do.
Do Bournemouth have one?
Yeah.
Right? Do Everton have one?
Well,
it doesn't matter if it's nice or not. Do they have one?
They do. They have a clearly defined style of play.
Brentford.
Definitely.
Clearly, yeah. Crystal Palace. They do, even with Glazer. Is that his name? Glazer? The new guy for Palace? I think it's Glazer.
The German guy.
Yeah.
Top coach, by the way.
Yeah, and again, pattern of play.
Like
Nottingham Forest have a pattern of play.
Well, their pattern of play was complaining about the ref, really.
Yeah, that's why we've got Clattenburg in. I'm from Nottingham, by the way, just to...
Shout out Brian Clough.
Shout out Cloughy.
Nottingham Forest. Love Cloughy.
Shout out to Nottingham.
Shout out to Nottingham.
Knife crime.
You know, I met a guy from Nottingham. This is a funny story. Quickly, we were at a rooftop party in Shanghai, and this guy was approaching us, and he looked so South African. He looked like a real, let me not get cancelled, but a real boer. I was going to use another word, but it's fine. And he approached, and I was like, "Bro, you look like the most South African." He's like, "I'm from Nottingham," and he starts telling me about how it's a great city. I should go to the Clough statue.
It's not a great city. Go to the Clough statue, yeah, but there's not much there.
Bro, Cloughy's a legend.
Cloughy's a legend.
He's in my all-time top 5 managers.
The only English team to go back to back.
Back to back.
And that's pretty impressive. And finally, Fulham. Do they have a style of play?
Yeah.
Right.
Marco Silva.
Right. So every team I've just mentioned are above United and have a pattern of play.
Question. How many of those teams had 50 plus injury incidents last season?
Don't worry, I'm getting on to that.
How many of those teams missed Leacher and Luke Shaw for a long period of last season? Do you not think when you're missing key players that it has an impact on your style of play?
Hold on, sir. Hold on. I've got some things to back me up here. Excuse me.
See, because like my whole thing, while he finds this thing, is while I don't disagree with Josh about the fact that we had no clearly defined style of play, and we were so open, the gap between our midfield and our forward press and our back line was ridiculous at times. We were getting opened up like, you know, yeah, there's a lot of things you could say there. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. The style of play, the results, the league position, like just based purely off that, he didn't deserve a third season. But what I would say is a mitigating circumstance is the injuries, bro. You can't look past that.
But that's also a reason why Ten Hag shouldn't be there.
Because of the injuries? So you're going to blame him for the injuries?
But there is no coincidence that in the last... I think we can openly say the last 2 years, Man U's injury record is not great.
But, bro, we've had problems for a long time. Even under Fergie, we had problems.
Not to this level.
Yeah,
like, not to this level at all. Like, I think the problem...
You think he's working them too hard?
I think there's something... I can't tell you what, because I'm not there, and I genuinely would be lying if I said, it's because he's working them too hard.
Yeah, we don't know that.
We don't know.
We don't know that.
But I genuinely think there is something wrong with what he's doing, or with what some of his backroom staff are doing, to have, and this is where I was getting the fact, to have...
How many injuries?
Well, there was over 60.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I undersold it, actually.
Yeah, so this statistic is based on a time loss injury is defined as one that results in a player missing at least one match.
Bro, even Bruno got injured.
Yeah.
Bruno hadn't missed a game through injury, I think, in like 8 years or something bonkers like that.
And then all of a sudden injured. We had 46 in the first team squad.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
Missing more than one match.
That's nuts, isn't it?
And that's ridiculous.
But are you going to put that on the manager, or is that a sports science department thing?
I think
because I think it's sports science department.
I think both have got to take some blame. However, Man U hired Arsenal's sport like fitness coach this year.
Yeah.
Arsenal didn't have that injury record the year before.
Yeah.
So it can't just be based on the sports team, because we hired someone from a team that didn't have that injury record.
I get it. Like that's a valid argument. Like I agree with that. There is something to be looked at there, but I think that's more of a thing for any of us to look at in terms of backroom stuff. Because here's my argument, right? Mm-hmm. The first thing is why I said we should keep Ten Hag. Number one, while I agree that the football last season was shit, like let's not pull any punches. Mm-hmm. Like it was a hard watch. Like, I hated watching... I remember watching a game with my mom back home. It was Luton away. We beat them. But I was so pissed off after that game. We conceded like 20 shots. And
I remember that
bro,
game.
How many games did Onana make like 10 plus saves?
Shout out to Onana, by the way.
Shout out Onana.
Because a lot of people may think we have a certain view on him because of how he started the season.
Nah, but he turned it around.
He turned it around, and that might be a little United bias, because he did nearly fuck up in the FA Cup final.
Yeah,
but he did pull up with some worldies in that game.
Yeah,
as well.
like, okay, to be fair, Doku, he was kind of unsighted with that shot.
Yeah.
But he didn't do it De Gea.
No.
And he turned it around, for sure.
And De Gea turned his career around, let's be honest. His first season at United was a shocker.
Exactly.
So
fair play, credit to Onana.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see that interview with the other Onana, the midfielder?
Oh,
from Euro?
the best player in the world. He's great.
He's like, I'm not Andre. Because the guy called him Andre. Have you seen it?
No, I've not.
Bro, and he answers in like a British accent. He's like, mate, that's not my name. I'm going to send it to you after, bro. It's quality. But anyway.
That guy is...
Yeah,
we both want him at United, by the way.
Yeah.
We like that's just fact.
Yeah, we need him at United.
We need him.
We need him.
I think United's team is crying out for someone like that.
Yeah, that kind of player. I agree.
And I know I spoke to you before. Like, if United are going down the centre back route, because we're on about getting Yoro and Branthwaite.
And there's also we actually wanted Tabido, but we can't get him because of the whole Nice thing.
Bullshit.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, you telling me Man City haven't been doing that for years.
115 charges.
Yeah. And
shout out, by the way. Did you ever see Stephen Howson's reaction to the FA Cup final?
No.
He gave this is gold, right? I'll send you the clip later.
Yeah.
He gave Man City's players I think he gave United's players a rating out of 10. He gave everybody 9.357. It was like some random number.
Yeah.
And then in the end, it adds up to 115.
Nice.
Quality.
Nice.
Bro, I'm waiting for them to get stripped. We're about to collect a few chips. Solskjaer's going to get a title.
Oh, God.
Jose's going to get a title.
Jose deserved that title.
He deserved that title,
He
bro.
deserved that title. Because he blooded Scott McTominay, and who had a surprisingly shining 2023.
Yeah,
2024.
exactly. And he doesn't get enough credit for the young players that he's brought through, Jose.
He didn't actually.
Think of his time at Real Madrid as well. He gave a lot of players their debuts.
Like who?
Rafa Varane.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, well, good on him.
Yeah, and there were a few other players around at that time. Esteban
I liked Granero.
Yeah, I like Granero.
He was tidy,
bro.
and then he ended up going to QPR and just
But he also signed Khedira, Ozil. He brought a lot of young players through, actually.
Yeah, he did.
But sorry,
that could be another conversation.
It could be
like where does Mourinho stack up against?
Where does he rank?
Because I genuinely Well, maybe we'll save that.
Yeah, we'll save that for the next one. We'll write that down right after this.
That's a good.
It's a good one.
But anyway, continue with your Ten Hag argument.
So here's my argument. I agree with you. The football's been shit, and on that, at face value, he doesn't deserve a third season. But what I would say, and I'm going to try to make a long story short here.
Sorry, I'm just getting blocked a bit.
What I would say is that, firstly, the injuries for me is a big factor. I agree with you. We need to look into that. But that's more something for Ineos to sort out. What we can agree on for sure is that the whole system behind the manager's position at United has been broken for a long, long time.
Correct. Yeah.
And Ten Hag has not been able to work in an actual functioning modern football system.
Yeah. No. That's. I think that's completely fair.
And this season he's going in not as the manager but as the head coach. Because if we can get Dan Ashworth in, there's Omar Barada who's coming in more as a CEO, but there's Dan Ashworth. There's I forget the other guy's name.
I know who you mean, the one from, because there's Dan Ashworth's Newcastle.
Yeah. There's another one.
Is it the Liverpool or Man City or?
But Omar Barada is the guy from Man City, but he's CEO. But there's another football. Anyway, I'll find it later. I'll put him on screen. Shout out whoever you are. But the point is, like, the system is broken.
Yeah.
And I think what Ten Hag came out and said after the FA Cup final, if they don't want me, I'll go elsewhere and I'll win trophies. I think that's so true. I think if we didn't get Ten Hag, I reckon when Pep leaves, he goes Man City, he cleans up shop. Because he's a top manager. But our club, bro, like when you see Old Trafford, like a waterfall, the whole thing is broken.
It's a shit show at the moment.
It's a shit show.
It is a shit show.
So for me, I think you can't just blame the manager for everything going on. I think he has to take some responsibility for the football that we've seen, for sure. Injury record as well. I think we need to look into that. But again, I think that's more of a sports science thing. But there's two main reasons why I think he deserved a third season. Number one, this doesn't really mean that he deserves it, but it kind of means that we had to give him a third season.
The FA Cup win?
No. There was no better option. I know you thought Tuchel was a better option.
Yeah.
For me, I don't see Tuchel as a good fit for United. I put him in the Antonio Conte category, where he's like a good manager, but not for United. Poch as well. He's there, you know?
Okay.
And that's where I put him. And I think there's... If Pep was available, if Pep was knocking on the door saying, yeah, I want this gig. If Klopp was saying, yeah, then I'd be like, okay, cool. If Ancelotti wanted to come.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not going to happen. Even if Zidane wanted to come, I'd roll the dice saying,
See,
okay.
I'd rather Tuchel over Zidane.
Well, I get why.
Yeah.
But my point is, there's no obvious candidate that you go, like, this guy is definitely levels clear of Ten Hag.
But we have spoke about that at the moment. The lack of world-class managers is pretty glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
Like we spoke about, like I know we both think Xabi Alonso is maybe the next.
He's got next.
He's got the next one.
However,
I have my reservations over it. Is it reservations?
Yeah.
I have my reservations over him because of, like, we had this same view on, like, Julian Nagelsmann, and then he had, like, a bit of a downfall. Like, the problem is
people get hyped up really quick.
They do, and then
like players these days.
Yeah, and that's exactly my point. Like, yes, he had an incredible season, but it's all about sustained quality, time in, time out.
Go into the Champions League, go do something with Leverkusen. Yeah. Go do what Mourinho did with Porto.
And that's the problem, isn't it? That, Mourinho gets discounted so easily now.
People forget about what he did.
People forget what he did. And actually, with that Roma team, he actually did pretty well with them.
I don't think he deserved the sack.
I don't think he deserved the sack. I actually don't think he deserved the sack from a lot of his teams. But he always goes to these clubs that are a bit trigger happy. Because Spurs are known to be a bit like,
But he would have won Spurs the trophy, you know. I reckon if they hadn't sacked him the night before, he wins that trophy.
Potentially.
Who did they play in the final? I can't remember. But besides that, the point is that Jose, like, I think not only did he go to clubs that are trigger happy, but he set such a high bar for himself.
Oh yeah.
And then the second he dips below that bar, catastrophe.
Yeah,
but actually,
and that's where, like, Pep Guardiola gets, like, I think he's not overrated. That's the wrong word, but I do think he's put on a pedestal that, like,
I agree.
I think he should be on Mourinho level.
I don't know. What I would say is, I think for his impact on the game, stylistically,
yeah, hands down.
For me, it's hard to speak against Pep because we come from the same school. I'm a disciple of Cruyff. He's a disciple of Cruyff. I think he took Cruyff's philosophy and he made it a bit too robotic and predictable and boring. Total football in its original form, Rinus Michels, was never boring.
No,
it was unpredictable. It was fun to watch.
I mean, I watched a video recently on YouTube, and it's this Irish coach, and he's coaching this young boy, and he's saying that, like, oh, don't do this fancy flick, like, don't do that flick, take the ball down, do the simple thing. But actually, what the kid did with this flick, for example, is he got past his man and he freed up loads of space. Yeah. But the guy brought it back and went, no.
And that's from Pep.
And that's exactly what that's from Pep. That's the point.
That's the overcoaching.
Yeah.
And like, I spoke about Timo earlier. There was this kid that I coached in that same team. This kid called Surprise. Bro.
Surprise.
Yeah, Surprise. Like, I shit you not, this kid, like, Timo had a brain on him, right? But in terms of pure technique and like just skill moves, he remains probably the most talented kid that I've ever seen. Like, he could just take someone on and do something that you couldn't even imagine. And I think the problem is with the modern system and the impact that Pep's had, kind of like what he did to Grealish.
Yeah.
Grealish at Aston Villa was a maverick.
Yeah.
It was fun to watch. Now you watch him at Man City, he's scared to give the ball away.
And then this is where, like, now it has a like a trickle down effect. Like, now look at Gareth's team, Southgate, obviously. Like, Phil Foden. Phil, like,
don't you think he plays within himself?
I do. I think if you put Phil Foden in a United team,
bro,
and give him the keys, he's like,
gonna do a madness.
For example, look at Bruno. If you put Bruno in a Pep team, he changes the type of player that Bruno is.
Exactly.
But you have Bruno playing as the focal point. Bruno's insane.
Exactly.
And we both heavily agree that Bruno is by far United's best player.
Of course. For me, he's the only player that could play in the 2018. Like, he gets into the starting 11.
He's the only player who could play in another
another top team in the world. Another
top team, yeah. There are genuinely, again, Martinez for me.
Like, Josh said this after the FA... Was it the FA Cup final?
At which point?
Because he started the cup final.
Yeah, he did.
And Josh was like, oh, best centre-back in the world. I was like, well, I can think of at least 5 better. But I get your point. I get where you're coming from.
Name the 5 better.
Well, I would say Van Dijk, but he's had a horrible Euro.
But I'll give you Van Dijk.
Okay, no. Well, at his best, Van Dijk. Not on current form.
I mean, still capable of doing it. I'll give you Van Dijk.
Saliba?
Martinez is better.
I get why you're saying that, but that's why the thing is, like, I can list 5 names, but you're going to say Martinez is better because it's a stylistic preference.
I could probably
He's
name...
a beast. He's Vidic.
Yeah.
You know?
He and this is where he should be playing. You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
Yeah.
He should be playing CDM.
Yeah, he should be playing CDM.
See, if we're going to chuck all this money at centre-back, I genuinely think Ten Hag's going to play him at CDM.
But then what happens to the Onana signing? Do we still need that?
We don't need the Onana signing, but that's with the rumours that are going round at the moment. We're going for 2 centre backs. So if we're going for 2 centre backs, if it's Yoro and Branthwaite is left-footed. It's very difficult to play modern football with 2 two left-footed centre backs.
So you got to push Leacher, where he played at Ajax, by the way,
under Ten Hag.
Exactly. And here's the other thing. You haven't watched the video yet, but there's strong rumours at the moment about Ruud van Nistelrooy joining Ten Hag's coaching staff. And you'll like, when you watch that video, you'll like especially how Ruud's PSV played without the ball. Very compact.
Yeah.
No space between the lines. But also, he coached a certain Branthwaite.
Oh, he would have. Yes, he would have. Yeah.
Exactly.
He would have.
Exactly. So
he is a bit of a prickly character.
It's all starting to make sense. Yeah, he's a character, bro.
Yeah. Like, I know he's not liked by a few people.
I love him.
I love him.
I love him. He's one of my all-time favorite United strikers.
I mean, as a player, but I mean, as a individual to be around, he's...
Well, he was a nasty so.
Yeah, he was a cunt.
He was a cunt, yeah.
Third strike, we're out.
Yeah, third strike, we're out. But
wait, it's alright, we're an hour and 10 minutes in.
We're going to break it down into 2 parts. I think we have to do that.
Yeah, I think we do.
But the final thing about Ten Hag, so that's my first point. No one better.
Yeah.
Right? You can agree with that.
No.
Because you think Tuchel's better.
I think Tuchel's better.
Let us know what you think in the comments, who's better. But the second point is, bro, and I've made this example to you before, what Ten Hag has achieved in 2 seasons surpasses what Fergie achieved in 2 seasons. And in fact, it surpasses, league position aside, 2 trophies, 3 cup finals. It surpasses what any United manager post-Fergie has been able to achieve. If you factor in the injuries, and you consider the fact that he's beaten Manchester City in a cup final, he's beaten Newcastle in a cup final, he's only lost in a cup final.
You didn't just say he beat Newcastle in a cup final.
Well, of course, that sounds silly because they've never won anything since I've been alive. But this is a different Newcastle team.
It is.
But to be fair, going into the final, I knew we were going to win.
Yeah, I didn't really.
Yeah, I wasn't nervous.
No,
but the thing is, just like what he's done, bro. Like, I think that we've chopped and changed so many times, and I think it's just time to go back to what's worked for United in the past,
which is settled. I get your point.
Settled. Go back to our traditions. Give the manager time. Give him the trust and responsibility, and say, okay, cool, we're gonna back you. Who do you need? What do you want? We're gonna set the system up, and if he fails, then we can say, okay, you know what? We're gonna go in a different direction. You're not the guy, but I think he will end up being the guy. And I loved his attitude after the cup final. I loved the fact that he came out fighting. I loved his comments about when it leaked that United spoke to Tuchel, and he did his interview, and he was like, they told me they spoke to Tuchel, but they decided they already have the best manager. He's showing a different side to him.
This is where,
and
like,
I fuck with that.
I don't like your points you make. I do agree with, and I do think that if it was so happens that we stick with him and then like we get a lot better with it, then fine, I'll hold my hands up. But again, it's hard for me to look past like how we played. So for example, in that FA Cup final, incredible how we played,
bro.
Like,
where was that performance the whole season?
And that's my whole point.
Yeah.
There is obviously something that is not like, oh, maybe we can relate to the players. Maybe there's something that's not like clicking with them. But like, and I do think again it links to Martinez because he gives us that little bit of fight, a little bit of like nastiness, and I think Ghana,
and that transmits to other players.
It does, and I think having Varane fully fit made a huge difference because it's a shame to let him go because the way he was let off with like a FA Cup win, I really felt like he loved United at that point. Yeah.
But there was also a period, you remember the beginning of the season where Varane wasn't playing for no reason. And again, that's the man management. That's the one aspect where I think the Sancho situation.
Oh, he's done Sancho horrifically.
You have to question his man management. Right?
Sancho was a huge mistake.
The way he handled that.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but look, and because I don't know the way it all played out in public, I think at the end of the day, we've lost that game at Arsenal. He's frustrated. He's come out and he said something he shouldn't have done. And as the manager, then he felt like, look, I can't take a back step.
Yeah, you know? But that's where his view of not being bigger than the club means that like Ten Hag's gone. Yeah, no one's bigger than the club.
Well, I don't think it's that. I think it's that I can't allow this player to be bigger than the manager. Fergie, and I watched the Stick to Football, Roy Keane. The way that he was treated upon his exit, for me,
not great,
bro. Not great is an understatement. I think it's quite diabolical, really. But we're not going to get into that now.
But however, Fergie openly said, "Let Cantona do whatever he wants."
Yeah, exactly.
So I think
double standard.
It is double standard, but like with Roy Keane, like Fergie was smart in the fact that Roy Keane was over the hill a little bit, and he knew that how to phase him out and like things like that.
But bro, like you should check out the pod. He explains what he did to them. Like they told him, yeah, you can join another club, knowing full well he wouldn't be able to.
Yeah. And
Keane just goes and signs, and he's like, okay, cool. And then he finds out on the way home, oh no, you can't because it's already past the transfer deadline. Like, and he's just recovered from a knee injury. Oh yeah, I think it was a knee injury. He was out for 3 months. And then he couldn't train for 6 months with the team. Yeah. So anyway, the point is that like Fergie, he ruled with an iron fist. And if you read his autobiography, like the one thing that he says is that the manager needs to be the most important man at the football club. Yeah. Now that might be an archaic way of thinking, probably a bit outdated. But if you look at especially in England, the teams who have been most successful recently. Is that not true?
It is true. It is true. It is true. Pep's the prime example of it.
Exactly.
Like, as soon as Cancelo had his bust up with him, he was arguably one of the best fullbacks in the world. Maybe the best fullback at one point, and he just went, "Fuck you."
Exactly.
Go to Bayern Munich.
You're out. Sterling.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing. Like, Ten Hag's trying to establish that clear hierarchy, because at United, bro, so many players have outlived managers.
Yeah.
And players like Martial. I mean, he's been there like 9 years now?
Yeah.
That is insane. Like, he's finally left, thank God. I love me some Martial, don't get me wrong. But
I liked Martial.
I was Martial FC.
Yeah.
But
after his Liverpool, when he
bro.
Disgusting.
Debut.
Disgusting.
Martin Skirtle.
Yeah.
Twisted his blood. Twisted his blood.
Yeah.
I was watching that game with my friend Brett, who also watches my channel, by the way. Shout out Brett.
Where's he from?
It doesn't matter because he's a Liverpool fan, but he's South African. But anyway, I was watching that,
and Liverpool fan.
Bro.
Wait, how many people are we upset now? We're on like South Africans. Oh, we're going for it.
We're going for it, bro.
Probably people in Middlesbrough as well, because Southgate.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's a legend. Like Middlesbrough have legends.
Well, they don't really have. Well, actually,
Juninho.
Yeah,
and that's the only one.
Gazika Mendieta.
Oh, I love me some Mendieta.
Viduka.
Ooh, Mark Viduka.
That Middlesbrough team was actually... Wait, Yakubu.
The streets won't forget. The streets won't forget. Milan's gonna love that one.
Yeah, he will.
Yeah, Viduka.
Viduka was good.
Man.
I like that Leeds team. Viduka, Kewell.
Bro.
Smith.
Alan Smith. The Strongbow.
I love Strongbow.
That run they had, Lucas Radebe.
Huh?
Radaby, as you would say.
Radebe.
But it's actually
I know Radebe. Yeah, good lad him.
But yeah, so
was it Ian Hart as well? Was he
Ian
knocking
Hart,
about?
yeah,
He was
left
knocking
back.
about.
Yeah. Jonathan Woodgate.
Ooh.
Paul Robinson.
Paul Robinson scored a couple of goals.
Yeah.
Handy goalkeeper to have.
So I can't even remember what I was saying now.
No, I don't.
We've lost the
probably
plot.
my fault. That bloody.
No. But we're talking about managers being the most important man at the club or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think he's trying to reset that whole culture. And I think let's let him cook. Let's see what he does. Let's let Heisenberg cook that blue meth at Old Trafford. Let Ineos do their thing. Give him time. I'm telling you, he turns it around. I'm telling you, Ten Hag wins the Premier League with United. I'll say that right now.
And on that bombshell, can we just have a quick break?
And that concludes part 2 of episode 1 of the Views from the East podcast on BGTV. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed part 2, please hit that like and subscribe button and give us some feedback in the comments. Let us know your thoughts. Also, keep your eyes peeled for part 3, which will be dropping soon, where we discuss United's comings and goings in the current transfer window. Thanks for watching, take it easy, and keep enjoying the beautiful game.